Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Echoes. And yes, I do mean EVE Echoes, even though this is EVE Online on screen now. I'll explain why later, or it'll become apparent why I'm in EVE Online later on. Now, I'm fresh off the flight back to the UK from FanFest. I've spent the last few days out in Reykjavik, Iceland, meeting the developers of EVE Online and a bunch of the community and just having a whale of a time. It was absolutely incredible. If you've been watching the channel and my shorts, you'll have seen some of the crazy shenanigans that we got up to while we were out there. But what I want to do in this video to sort of bring this into a focus is, because FanFest is primarily EVE Online based, a lot of you in EVE Echoes may have missed some of the announcements. There was an EVE Echoes announcement, which we'll get to in just a moment. I'm going to talk about some of the other stuff you might be interested in, then we're going to jump into the developer Q&A for this week. We've got 4 questions, is some interesting stuff in there. So first of all, the non-EVE Echo stuff. I'm not going to go through all the exciting stuff happening to EVE Online, but essentially the ability to fly alongside pirates, new ships being added, and a brand new system is pretty exciting. Beyond that, we had an announcement for EVE Vanguard, which is the first-person shooter that's been in development for a while. It's still in very early alpha at the moment, but it does look fantastic. I spent a lot of time talking with CCP Shortfall. I will put a video out with my thoughts on that at some point in the future if you're interested. Project M5 finally got named. Now, many of you know that I was lucky enough to actually get my hands on to M5 briefly for, a short period a while ago. This has now been finally announced as EVE Galaxy Conquest, a new mobile game being developed directly by CCP, not by NetEase or some other subsidiary. It is directly by CCP, and I'm keen to find out from CCP what I'm actually allowed to say in regards to that. Again, I'll have a video about that in the future, talking about Project M5, EVE Galaxy Conquest, and my thoughts and opinions on what that could be going forward. Very excited there. But then EVE Echoes got a blink and you'll miss it announcement as well. During the keynote, they talked about Echoes very, very briefly, and then kind of pointed out 2 of the new exciting bits coming. Now, the first thing they mentioned was that a new area was going to be opening up, and at first I thought, oh, well, okay, they've just kind of lagged behind a bit, and they're announcing at FanFest the fact that Cobalt Edge is open. Then they said, and Black Ops battleships. And that's why we're in EVE Online, because I'm going to talk about what these actually are in just a second and how I reckon they'll work in EVE Echoes. Now, the new area, first of all, though, I reckon, honestly, this could be the J-Space that they were talking about, wormhole space, that they mentioned in the patch notes during the Cobalt Edge event. I don't think that's the case, though. I honestly expect this to be Peregrine Falls or Kavala Expanse or one of the other drone regions. Basically, copy and pasting the content out of Cobalt Edge into a new region, and then just unlocking that via wormholes so that we can spread out a little bit more and there's more opportunity for those who didn't get Cobalt Edge to start getting some drone lands areas themselves, and thinning down the fact that every blasted wormhole entry these days seems to be camped by fleets of PvPers. So if, like me, you wanted to go into Cobalt Edge solo, it's been almost impossible. Therefore, expanding it out and thus thinning those PvP crowds could be an interesting way of allowing solo players in there as well. I don't know. There's so little information on that and so little we can really talk about. I kind of just want to move on to talking about Black Ops battleships. Now, what you see on screen here is not a Typhoon. This is a Panther, the Minmatar Republic's Black Ops battleship. There are obviously 4 Black Ops battleships, 5 if you include the Marshal, but we're not going to for the purposes of this video. So 4 Black Ops battleships, 1 for each of the main empires. They're all based on one of the Tech 1 hulls, like the Panther here is based on the Typhoon, the Sin is based on the Dominix, and the Widow is based on the Scorpion, for example. But they are subtly different to their Tech 1 counterparts. Now, here, for example, the Panther, despite being a Typhoon hull, if we look at its stats here in EVE Online, is actually large projectile turrets, so it's using large cannons, basically, in EVE Echoes terminology. Now, it's my opinion, or has been my opinion for a long time, that if they were going to add Black Ops battleships to EVE Echoes, it would probably, rather than being Panther, it would be Typhoon Black Ops. Rather than Sin, it would be Dominix Black Ops. And therefore, we would likely see the weapon system remain from the base hull. Therefore, the Typhoon Black Ops, in my opinion, would have been large missiles. However, when they added the different, what's it called, the the Alliance tournament cruisers recently, the Chameleon, and all of that. They did change the weapon systems to make sure they were the right thing there, like the Adrastia and that. So, I don't know, maybe they will keep the names of Panther and thus the stats of the Panther, and it will be, the Panther with large cannons. I'm not certain, though. It could be. It certainly could be. I still am of the opinion it's probably going to be a Typhoon Black Ops and thus missiles. But what makes a Black Ops battleship special? Well, these are very fast-moving battleships, for starters. They're not quite as tanky as some of the other battleships out there, but they are a lot faster moving. They also have some really nice bonuses. Notably here, this 650% bonus to ship maximum velocity when using cloaking devices. Should be noted that's only basic cloaking devices, not covert ops cloak devices. In fact, they can't fit a covert ops cloaking device on a Black Ops. You can't warp cloaked, but you do get an incredibly fast movement speed whilst you're cloaked. In fact, you do move faster cloaked than you do uncloaked. That allows a Black Ops battleship to move through a battlefield very, very quickly and efficiently. Again, you can't warp cloaked, but being able to move while cloaked is very powerful. We then have the ability for sinusoidal field generators to be fitted, notably covert sinusoidal field generators and covert jump portal generators. Essentially what this means is a Black Ops battleship can move through enemy space into position. It then opens up a bridge that an entire fleet can then come through. Very cool. It's kind of a Sino but with additional steps and a better version of a Sino. Now, you've just seen the cluster shutdown alert there, so I don't have too long to get on with this, but let's have a look at the ship tree briefly, just to talk about the other one. So we've mentioned here the Panther for the Minmatar. If we go in the Amar tree, for example, this is the Redeemer. Here it is. This is an Armageddon hull. You can see a little bit of colour difference there, obviously. And if we look at its stats, large energy turrets, despite it being a Geddon, it's large energy turrets, not drones, though we do get some other bits and bobs in here, like Energy Nosferatu and Neutralizer Drain amounts. It's an E-warship to a certain extent as well. I'll leave those on there, but most of it is exactly the same. It's just the bonuses up here. If we go into the Caldari, it is the Widow. I quite like the Widow. It's essentially a Scorpion, but with a cooler colour scheme by default. And again, unlike the Scorpion, if we go into its show info here, it's ECM, and it's then heavy missile, cruise missile, and torpedo. Rather than the Scorpion being kind of all turrets, the Widow is a missile ship again with ECM bonuses. And I don't know if they'll have ECM bonuses or if this will go down that sort of Blackbird route of being something like just the guidance disruptors. Finally, for the Glente, then, we have the Sin. As I said, this is basically a Dominix, but it's got the slightly shinier Creodron green metallic finish to it there. And unlike the Dominix as well, if we go to, not Simulate, Show Info, again, this is a drone one. This is a little bit different to the others. It does keep the drones, but it has large hybrid turret damage bonuses to it as well. So those are your 4 Black Ops battleships. Those are now confirmed as coming to EVE Echoes, according to CCP, at FanFest at least. I am quite excited. The Panther is a ship I enjoy in EVE Online. It's going to be a Tech 10 vessel, of course it is, and therefore, still nothing new for new players. It is still probably going to be Black Ops skills at Tech 10 as well, which are going to be ridiculously expensive. And honestly, again, some people are going to go, oh, Benzie, I miss the Benzie when you used to be positive. Yeah, I miss that Benzie too. But you know as frickin' well as I do, it's going to be like the Navy issue battleships all over again. They're going to be ludicrously expensive to build, and they're going to be available for purchase in lucky crates on day 1. It's going to be a purchase linked thing, not, an actual industrial linked thing. So yeah, make of that what you will, but Black Ops battleships coming to EVE Echoes. Anyway, with that said and done, let's jump across then to the weekly developer Q&A for the week of the September the 5th through September the 11th. Question number 1. Is there any update coming involving high-sec encounters? Right now, until hitting Tech 10, the encounters are very underwhelming. An increase in payouts would be very welcome, especially for solo players. Payouts aren't the fucking issue here. It's the fact that the entire game is built around, and please bear with me here, the entire game is built around payments, right? There's no two ways about it. Everything is becoming more and more and more and more expensive, which is why the person asking this question wants more ISK payouts. It's not going to happen because the entire point of everything getting more expensive is that now essentially you have a choice. You want the new shiny thing. You either pay for the new shiny thing by directly swiping for it, or you swipe for Plex and get ISK that way, or you use an AI nanocore to get around the fact that the gameplay is boring as all hell and you have to spend days of your life farming and farming and farming, 8 hours a day, farming just the most boring sites over and over again just to earn ISK, or you have to do it manually. That's your option. You're looking at the fact that the PvE content is boring and crap and awful, and it is slow to earn any meaningful amount of ISK when you compare it to the amount it's going to cost in order to buy things. So, do you sit at your phone for 8 hours in a day, boring yourself fucking witless, doing the worst content imaginable? Or do you basically pay a nanocore to run that content for you, giving you the illusion of progress without having to actually, play the game yourself? You feel like, oh, I'm so smart, I've got this core and it does it for me. No, you're still paying the developers and you're paying into a concept that the game, having to fuel the AI nanocore, rather than the game being fun and enjoyable and every interaction that you as a player have with the game being meaningful. Instead, you have to basically pay the game to play itself just to get through all the boring crap that you don't want to do. That's very much by design. They could have fixed it, they chose not to. Or you pay someone else via Plex to have done that job for you, or you just buy the thing with your credit card. Like the Black Ops battleships will be, like the Navy issue battleships will be, like the Science Sea was, things like that. Buy it on day one, or you have to do those other steps to get a load of ISK. Waterknight says, we will add more PvE content in the future. There will also be better rewards. Stay tuned. I'm not excited about this because PvE content for NetEase has been crap for the last 4 freaking years. Even Dormant Realms, which were the last thing to have the possibility of actually being interesting, really won't. Get old so quick. I mean, look at Nihilus. Nihilus is the same thing as a Tech 10 encounter, essentially. Because the game needs an overhaul at base level. We need to stop stapling things on and actually get down to brass tacks and fix the underlying systems. Question 2. With the recent anniversary medal, I love how it looks and it makes me proud that I was part of the event. Currently there are only 3 slots for the medals worn. I would like to showcase all my unique medals. Is there a chance for the devs to increase the medal slots by 1 or 2 more? Players may need to purchase these slots using Aurum or Plex to increase it or have it tied to skills or both. Thank you for reading this suggestion. Fuck off whoever wrote this. Fuck off developers for choosing this goddamn question. What do I keep saying in these dev Q&As? That people are basically sucking NetEase's cock at this point, going, please give me the money shot, daddy. What can I spend more money on? What can I spend on? Stop asking for more things to spend on. Really, again, I've got a unique content creator medal. I've been playing this game since day one. I've got pretty much every medal available in the game, bar except one, I think. Who cares? They don't show up on your account. Only the first one does. The other 2 really don't matter unless someone goes into your account page. No one cares about you enough to go into your account page in this game. It's so bloody awful to do and awkward to get to. No one gives a shit. Seriously, get over yourself. You don't need to be displaying more than 1 medal, let alone more than 3. It does nothing. And offering to pay for the opportunity? Good lord. Who dropped you? The medal slots are initially meant for pilots to display the medals they personally find most valuable or want to showcase. For now, we probably wouldn't do any changes to it yet. Even NetEase knows this is a stupid idea. However, we appreciate your suggestion and keep it in mind for future updates and improvements. Thank you for sharing your feedback, and we hope you keep enjoying EVE Echoes. Yeah, what they're saying is we hope you keep spending and hope you keep offering new ways to spend, but in this case, they think even this version of spending is ridiculous. Let's move on before I give myself a hernia. No such thing as stupid people, just stupid questions. In this case, and the stupid people who ask them. Question number 3. Can you implement regular dynamic events or crises in the game universe? These events could range from natural disasters to alien invasions. I'm hoping by alien you mean like the Triglavian, not like, green men from Mars, because get that shit out of my EVE. Creating opportunities for players to collaborate or compete in response. This would inject excitement and unpredictability into the EVE Echoes universe, keeping players engaged, encouraging emergent gameplay. Yeah, there are some cool ideas there. I do immediately need to point out alien invasions is a stupid idea. Eve is very much a game about humanity. That is what it is all about. It is asking the questions of what it means to be human. And it does so by putting you in the role of essentially an immortal demigod. You are a superhuman. So it's asking, what can you do for humanity with that, and what can you do against humanity with that? If you've read the Burning Life, which is one of the EVE Online books, that basically showcases Capsuleers as one of the worst things to happen to New Eden, and it's a very human look at the EVE universe. And the game itself is all about that. Aliens are not really a thing in EVE, and that is very much by design. CCP don't want little green men with ray guns. They don't want your Martians or your Tyranids or whatever. Those are for different universes. In EVE, it's all different branches of humanity. You've got your 4 main empires, which are what rose from the Dark Ages after the EVE Gate collapsed. Remember, humanity is in Earthlings, us. Found a wormhole to this new cluster called New Eden. We went through it, we colonized it. This is thousands of years into our future. Then the EVE Gate collapses, all of those empires collapse in on themselves, humanity in New Eden regresses into a dark age, and then crawls its own way back out. We are literally talking of EVE Online being tens upon tens upon tens of thousands of years into humanity's future. There aren't little green men. It's all humans. The 4 main empires are the first ones to claw themselves out. You then have things like, obviously, Mordu's Legion and all these that are factions breaking off away from those. You then have the Jovian Empire. They're still human. They may not look particularly human anymore, but they are still human. They're just genetically modified themselves. Sleepers, Drifters, again, may not necessarily look 100% human, but they are human. That is what they are. Even the Triglavians, they are a human race that escaped into the abyss and have been living there since the EVE Gate collapsed, basically. It's all humanity. We don't need aliens. Anyway, so the concept of, dynamic events and crises, absolutely, that would be awesome, and that's what EVE Online has been doing for the longest time. Recently, the opening of Zarzak was literally driven by Capsuleers. There were 4 gates that they needed to find. We found those gates, we've recently opened them, we now have access to Zarzak, where players can sign up to join the Guristas Pirates or the Angel Cartel and mess with faction warfare. Like, that's really cool. It's allowing the players to get involved in the storyline. And we've seen this time and time again. The recent faction warfare stuff, building the shipcasters, all of that. It's all player-driven stuff, and EVE Echoes has never really done this. Waterknight says, that's such a cool idea, we love it, we'll definitely explore the possibilities. Furthermore, we'll include various gameplays to our future development plan to enhance the overall experience. Stay tuned for more updates. Now, I would love this to be taken seriously, but they've been talking about this kind of stuff since the launch of the game 3 years ago. It's not happened yet. I don't see it suddenly happening now. Events were originally going to be these big, exciting things. EVE Echoes is an entire split-off from EVE Online. The lore of EVE Echoes is that after Caroline's Star, the event that basically ripped open wormholes and destroyed several entire systems, after Caroline's Star, the Graviton Waves actually ripped a separate universe open, which is EVE Echoes. It's why we're not, playing on the same servers as EVE Online. It's our own little thing with our own unique twist. That said, the lore team for EVE Echoes kind of dropped off the map a long time ago. We saw this with things like Doves and Hawks. You've got perfectly good groups sitting in New Eden in Echoes that are doing nothing. And everything is Concord. Concord in EVE Echoes are apparently a warmongering faction that are all about exploration. No, Concord's a peacekeeping faction. They're the UN, basically. They're not even NATO. They're just the UN, But Echoes doesn't understand this because the lore guys don't work on the game anymore. They're long gone. So they bring someone else in who has to come up with a storyline reason for whatever, and they just kind of pick a faction or invent a new one. The actual lore doesn't matter to this game, so I don't see this as happening. I want to be wrong on that. Believe me, I want to be wrong on that. I just don't think I am. Finally, oh god, I see the word nanocore in gold already. Is there any possibility you could implement nanocore exchange on intelligent AI nanocores gold? Most of us already have several AI cores not being used. I have 4 sitting in my inventory, which I've since moved on from using after several patches, balancing and or stat changes. We wish we could exchange them for a different ship. This would definitely help a lot of players stay in game. No, it wouldn't. It would help a few whales stay in game. You're talking about having bought several AI cores. Those are expensive purchases. I'm assuming you've upgraded them a little bit and you're swapping ships, which means you're using Lazarus units and buying new stuff like that. Yeah, no, sorry, you are clearly a whale at this point in time, and that's fine. That's fine. Definitely help a lot of players stay in the game. No, what you are finding is that the whales themselves, who are the people who are quite happy to pay to stay ahead, they themselves are getting priced out of the game, and a lot of them are going, it's not worth it for me to pay anymore, and they're moving on to something else. That is the problem with this monetization system. NetEase are not going to change that. Waterknight says, we pay close attention to players' experience on AI cores and would like to optimize it. Nanocore exchange is one option we can consider implementing. We will make a timely update to it based on the player data and feedback. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. If they do this at all, it is going to be at such an awful exchange rate. Like, you're going to need multiple of these to get one kind of thing. Because this is the next big thing for NetEase. This is their money maker. They're not going to give it away for free. They want you to do exactly what you've done. You bought one, you didn't like the ship, you then changed to a different ship. So you bought a new ship, bought a new setup, bought a new I-core, presumably leveled it up a bit at your expense, then got bored of that and moved on to the next one. NetEase love that. Rather than fix the game, they'd rather you keep paying to try and find something you actually enjoy. The trouble is, you're eventually going to find out that there's nothing you enjoy anymore, and therefore you drop out of the game, and the game gets smaller because there's no new players coming in either. That's EVE Echoes. That's where we're at. Until we go back and do a proper rejig of the ground up content, of the base level stuff, it's not going to happen. We need to get rid of the tech system as it currently stands. This Tech 1 to Tech 10 being artificially gated is bullshit. It just means that new players look at the game and go, oh, well, it's, 10 months of me paying $15 a month before I can actually get to the fun part of the game. And no new player is going to do that. So instead, why not change it so that the tech levels actually mean something? Why is it that when I hit tech level 7 as a miner, for example, I unlock all these combat ships? A tech level miner unlocks battleships at tech 9. Why? Why is a Tech 10 or Tech 9 combat pilot unlocking new industrial vessels? Instead, rather than just, oh, congratulations, you've accrued so much SP, here's everything, wouldn't it be better if you could just go, right, okay, I want to stick with frigates, therefore I'm going to level skills purely inherent in frigates. And so by the time you would be Tech level 7, you've got expert in frigate skills. You've got all of that sorted. Rather than just having to wait until Tech 10 to get the interceptors, why not just, or the Navy issue frigates, why not tie that to what skills you've got trained? Because there's no point giving me, a frigate combat pilot, access to all these big battleships and, salvagers and mining ships. I'm not going to use them. Give me access to the tech, the top tier frigates. I've chosen to go into the frigate skills. Why do I still have to wait to actually be able to fly the ships that I want to fly? I've got the skills, that kind of thing. I'm not suggesting there shouldn't be progress in EVE Echoes, which is what Delira likes to wheel out, despite the fact I've said this time and time again. So Delira, if you're listening to this, put this into your skull, for crying out loud. I'm not saying get rid of progression in Echoes. I'm saying make the progression something that's fucking meaningful. Not just, I sat on my arse paying this company for 10 months. That's what progression in Echoes is right now. To get to Tech 10, you literally buy 10 months of Omega and then log out and just leave your phone running for 10 months. And 10 months come back and, oh look, you're Tech 10. How awesome and meaningful that was. No, why is it that currently in Echoes, if I train every single frigate skill to Expert 4, some of them even to Expert 5, all of the small weapon systems, say small cannon operation, small cannon upgrade, to, Expert 5, I'm only Tech 7, Tech 8. I can have every single skill that most Tech 10 frigate pilots have by Tech 8. So why can't I fly the top tier frigates at that point? That's my point. And if I could train into cruisers, battle cruisers, and battleships a little bit earlier, again, you could start unlocking those sooner. If you have to sit there and wait, the only reason that they want you to train into small ships, then into medium, then into large, is so that when you finally realise that the large ships use completely different skills and none of your old skills matter, your frigate skills, cruiser, destroyer, battle cruiser, your small and medium weapon system skills no longer really matter. They want you to buy Lazarus units. That's why that is the way that is. And then you hit, like, carriers. When you want to fly a carrier, none of your subcap skills matter at all. You suddenly need full capital skills. None of your other skills matter. So again, they want you to buy Lazarus units to get rid of all those old skills to push into carriers and supers faster. That's the point. It's all about the payments. Anyway, folks, that's it for today. That's your dev Q&A. Again, if you did miss it at FanFest, we got Black Ops battleships announced. Yay! And a new area coming. Stay tuned to the channel for more updates from FanFest. I do hope I'm wrong and that Echoes is getting fixed and is going to be awesome. 3 years tells me otherwise. Thanks for watching, folks. Happy sailing and see you in New Eden.